Welcome again to this video clip series that I'm calling My Journey to God in a Very Secularized World. I would like to continue talking about you might say the greatest deception that will soon happen in this period, in order to help us even more to keep our eyes open, to not fall into what Jesus called the abomination and desolation in Matthew 24:15, the prophecy of Daniel when we will lose the Eucharist. Because today there's less prayer than ever before, and more sin than ever before, and even worse, indifference towards sin, as if sin doesn't even exist. And so it's we who have given greater power to the father of lies to deceive us. In particular, he has to offer his deadly lies as if they were the truth, and offers all kinds of nice things when it's exactly the opposite. The truth of God will set us free, even though we carry a cross. The truth of devil will take away the cross today, and then we'll be slaves tomorrow. Thus, it is very important in this times of great confusion, when even Catholic bishops are no longer in agreement about the fundamentals of our faith and morals, to not only pray much and to study the Catechism of the Catholic Church for adults, but to keep our eyes open for these pitfalls that Satan, the father of lies, will offer us. I would encourage you also to take a look at my index of my articles. If you read articles that might help you in the index that you can find. You can also, if you'd like to, you can copy any of my articles, make a copy in your computer, whatever else. You're more than welcome to copy anything I've made, anything. And you remember, I talked about this before, just to repeat it very briefly, the four conditions for a valid Mass. The Mass of the Roman Rite is invalid when the celebrant of the Mass is not a validly ordained priest. 2, when the priest does not have the proper intention, but that has to be manifest, otherwise it's okay, as Council of Trent explained. And number 3, when wheat bread and grape wine are not used. Number 4, when the words, "This is my body, this is my blood," are not said. Not silently, but must be said. Because, go into this a little bit more deeply, the most likely, the target, the easiest target to take away the conditions of the Mass would be at the consecration. Because Christ took the bread and the cup and he gave thanks. He broke the bread and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat, this is my body." And then giving the cup, he said, "Take and drink, this is the cup of my blood. Do this in memory of me." Accordingly, the Church has planned the celebration of the Eucharistic liturgy around the parts corresponding to these words and actions of Christ. The key phrase which confect the Eucharist are, "This is my body, this is my blood," which when said, not silently, but when said by a priest with the proper intention and matter, truly show the priest acts in the person of Christ. The other parts of the Eucharist are, according to St. Ambrose, also quoted in the Summa Theologica by St. Thomas Aquinas, are essentially preparatory. Certainly a priest who doesn't obey the liturgical books, even the preparatory prayers, can become a mortal sin for him, but the Mass is still valid. Because St. Ambrose said about this, he says, "By all the other words spoken, praise is rendered to God, prayer is put up for the people, for kings, for others, but when the time comes for perfecting the sacrament, the priest no longer uses his own words, but the words of Christ." And St. Thomas Aquinas also explains this requirement in great detail in the Summa Theologica, the third part, question 78, articles 1 through 6. He spent more time on that than unusual. Changing the words of the preparatory parts of the Eucharist prayer is illicit and gravely sinful for the priests. but would not invalidate the Eucharist as long as "this is my body and this is my blood" are said. You find also in the Catechism of the Council of Trent, which called the Catechism for Parish Priests, it states very precisely that the form consists of these words: "This is my body and this is my blood." And then in the Catechism of John Paul II, paragraph 1412, it's written, "The essential signs of the Eucharistic sacrament are wheat bread and grape wine, on which the blessing of the Holy Spirit is invoked, and the priest pronounces the words of consecration spoken by Jesus during the Last Supper. This is my body, which will be given up for you. This is the cup of my blood." Lumen Gentium, speaking about, what is infallible, what is really the truth that doesn't change, and so on, I would like to talk just a little bit about that more clearly. Because Lumen Gentium, number 25, clearly teaches that the documents of an ecumenical council are infallible. Paragraph 891. The Catechism of the Catholic Church, paragraphs 888 to 892, tell us that the doctrines of the Church are essential in order to arrive to sanctity. When the Church, through its supreme magisterium, proposes a doctrine for belief being divinely revealed, and as the teaching of Christ, the definitions must be adhered to with obedience of faith. This infallibility extends as far as the deposit of divine revelation itself, which is in those paragraphs they explain this. But to the ordinary teaching of the Church, the faithful are to adhere to it with religious assent, which, though distinct from the assent of faith, is nonetheless an extension of it. Thus, the documents in an essential ecumenical council express in human language the absolute truths which cannot be changed, even by a future pope or for apparently good motives to make the non-Catholics feel more at ease, etc., such as like at a Catholic Mass, or false ecumenism, false mercy, false love. Before the New World Order totally manifests itself, there is needed a new world religion, which will be emptied of all its divine content and will be the mystical body of the Antichrist. You might read the words of Cardinal Biffy and Fulton Sheen. The Church is the handmaid of the truth, not the author of the truth, which is God. The truth is absolute, even though we are living in a world today in which the culture totally refuses the possibility of absolute truth. These very numerous modern enlightened people of today say that the truth must change according to the world, according to the consensus of the majority, and even according to each individual. This is exactly relativism, which Pope Benedict XVI said is the most profound difficulty of our time. And the elite of the world, they're rather well organized. The Freemasons and so on, and they're well brainwashed in 33 degrees of Masonry to be totally brainwashed to bring forth this program, which the Grand Master gives them the orders, and the Grand Master is directed by Satan. They're guided by these, which they must eliminate the Eucharist as soon as possible in a sly way, so as to alert or wake up without waking up anybody spiritually, to wake up as few people as possible. They got to do this in a sly way so everybody remains asleep, and we just go along with it like the herd of cattle. By not praying the Holy Rosary every day and not living our faith, most Catholics have lost the faith in the Most Holy Eucharist, the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ, the source and summit of the Christian life. Those who do not pray or do not live their prayer, "Thy will be done, not my will be done," are not able to distinguish between the beautiful lies of the highly controlled mass media and the truth of God. You can visit my websites to get more details on what I just said, and also references of other articles. And I will end this video clip here. May God bless you, and Mary guide you.